All right. So, what's up, guys? We got another client success interview with one of our best clients of all time. Again, Mr. Zach. And Zach is an online fitness coach that I've known for quite a while. Well, actually, I'd say, I don't know, it's been close to, if not over a year, right, Zach?
Yeah.
Um, so, anyways, we're just going to have a really casual discussion about his time, working with us, what the impact that's had on his business, his life. Really wants to dig really deep into AI and the impact that that's had on Zach's business because that's really been one of the main drivers that Zach has fully adopted to drive completely unparalleled results in regards to the level of efficiency and smoothness that Zach has had in his business. And another thing that is really interesting about Zach as well is that he has some of the highest energy out of anyone that I've ever worked with or just known in general, and it's consistent. And in fact, in our team, that's one of the things that we've always been talking about internally at the end of every sales call, at the end of every Slack interaction, and all that stuff. Is we always walk away feeling energized and just uplifted by interacting with Zach, and that's quite rare to have that with any person in general. And so, we'll get into a little bit of a discussion on the impact that may have on its clients as well. Because, from my perspective, there's always a lot of like systematic and tactical and, strategic things that people focus on with business. But Zach has been able to clearly unlock a state of being that has allowed him to really maintain a level of consistency, like I said, in his business, but also deliver his clients life changing impact. So, anyways, this is going to be a really awesome discussion. Hope you guys tune in for the whole thing. And without further ado, Zach, how did we meet?
It's a good question. Wow, it takes me back, I don't know, year and a half ago in Jeremy Pogue's program. I signed up
Yep.
for that wanting to learn marketing, and got so much more. I ended up meeting you, learning, the fundamentals of client success, doing the ideal client exercise with you, just learning more about systematizing, onboarding, optimizing for the biggest amount of value you can possibly drop on that initial call. Just it changed the way that I thought about client success and the way that I structured my program. So yeah, ever since then I was like, damn, this guy knows his stuff. He knows a
Yeah.
thing or two about client success, right? And then yeah, from there when you launched your offer, I was like, absolutely, sign me up.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, that was, you were always present on every single group call, is what, well, for the most part, right? Inside of Jeremy's program, which is always an indicator of someone who is generally going to receive success inside the program. And I think one of the really key things, too, is that you were always asking very thoughtful questions. It wasn't, superficial stuff. It was always, you clearly had tried to solve a problem on your own first. And then when you brought it to the group call, there was some type of deeper layer to the place that you were asking that question, and it actually allowed for a real answer to be delivered, right? And so it was always really enjoyable for me to have you on those calls, and also working, of course, one on one with you, right? And so I remember one of the first things that you integrated from all those calls was an optimized onboarding process, like you said.
Yeah.
And I remember you were really excited when Austin Medlin had his event in Siesta Key, where you're like, "Yo, look at this roadmap that I created," and you walk me through the whole onboarding process, and that was really gratifying for me to see that because, oftentimes, especially in group calls as well, like as a coach, and I'm sure you've experienced this too, like you give so much, but very few people take the highest level of action that you could take that really take the full potential really of what it is that you delivered, and you've done that with every single thing that you've received, from us and everyone else too that you've worked with. And so that's been really awesome to see. But let's talk a little bit about your onboarding process. So what was it before you started integrating the stuff that I teach you? And then what does it look like now?
Oh gosh, before I don't even want to go back to that time in my mind because it was just no systems at all. Everything was manual. I would literally be I'm a fitness coach, right? So I run it on Trainerize. So I'd be adding people into Trainerize. I'd be adding them into I didn't even have a school course or anything like any back end modules. It was really just Um, I had a few like haphazard videos in a Google Doc, like, so I'd like send that to them, and like, I would write up their onboarding email by hand every time.
Damn.
And then, yeah, it was terrible. And then their launch call was like, just, I had like this one page Google Doc with like a kind of a roadmap. And I would just kind of go through line by line, like, okay, where's your nutrition at? Where's your training? And it was all over the place. Like some launch calls would be great, and other calls where they'd be like, "What the heck is going on?"
Yeah.
And like that inconsistency was really bothering me, because then the people that were like, "What's going on?" It would take a lot more of my time to then like actually get them to the place where they knew it was going on. And I even had a few clients who just like, because of the it really, even it stems back to my sales process, because of my sales process and my onboarding process, they weren't fully bought in yet, and they
Right.
weren't like in that state of being to like be ready to go and be excited. And so then when they wouldn't be taking action, I'd be like frustrated at them, but it was really my fault to be like, I didn't set you up for success, I didn't get you in the right state of being to like actually want to take action on this. um so anyways, those were some of the biggest challenges I had in my onboarding.
And did you feel like that may have affected the way that you were showing up in your sales calls?
100%. Yeah, because I didn't have that full conviction of like, my program will 1000% change your life and you would be stupid to not buy.
Right.
Like, I didn't have that conviction, and so then it makes it harder to handle objections, because when they come up, then I'm thinking in my head, yeah, maybe they're right, now isn't the right time for them to do this.
But you got that conviction now. So what
Oh
did you
yeah.
do to change that?
So there's a couple pieces. One is like the mindset side of things, one is the tactical side of things. So, mindset wise, the question that I started asking myself, which I got from you, was, how do I deliver the entire value of the investment on their initial call?
Yeah.
That was one piece. Was like, how do I do that? And when I first asked myself that question, I was like, I have no clue how this is going to happen. That's insane to me at the time, right? But that was one question I asked myself over and over. The second question I asked myself was, how can I get this person doing all the right actions to ultimately get all the results that they want with the least amount of my time, effort, and energy?
Yep.
So I just constantly kept coming back to those two questions. And I was like, okay, what do I need to do? What needs to happen? Right. So then, then you go to the tactical elements of like, okay, I need to automate literally everything on my onboarding. Right. And I started small. I didn't like do anything crazy or have any fancy CRM at the time, but I started using Zapier, and I just like added a few different automations. And then I started building out like the first iteration of my school modules, and those modules walked them through how to like set up the app and get things set up. Which, by the way, I forgot to mention this on their lunch call, I used to sit with them and watch them set up the app. Like,
Damn.
some of them would take like 20 minutes, and I'm just sitting there like waiting for them to get it. So systematized all that, started making videos for that, continued to keep asking myself this question. And when people would show up to launch calls, getting feedback from them, being like, where did you get stuck? What were you not able to do? And then I'd go back to my process to be like, oh, that wasn't clear enough because 5 people weren't able to do it properly. And then, so that was one of the tactical elements. The second tactical element, which now we do and has absolutely changed the game for clients and for the way that I sell the program, honestly, too, is we have such a bulletproofed like spreadsheet that we give them on day one, where we literally map out every single one of their goals in the 5 different success metrics we track. We map out their entire full days of eating on the road and at home, their entire workout plan on the road and at home, where their sleep, exercise, nutrition, like stress, all that stuff is at. We measure all those things. And the best part is they do it on their own time before they even get on the launch call. So then on the launch call, all my CSM is doing is just being like, don't eat that, just flip that with this, just do this instead of this. Here's going to be your new orders. We build out a list of new orders for them, which takes like 10, 15 minutes on our end. And so then they leave that call being like, holy shit, I completely see the entire picture now and I know exactly what I was doing wrong. So their entire challenge, their entire biggest problem they come to us with is solved on day one. And then from there, the entire rest of the program is just, okay, just do the same actions every single day now. Like that's it. And then that's what we're here for. Is like, now how do we build up mindset? How do we build up consistency? How do we leverage community to get you to do the work on the days you don't want to? Because everybody has those days. Um, and then that's really the rest of the program.
And now it's easy for you and it's easy for them, right?
Yeah.
Now you can actually scale, right? And so what's awesome about that too is from a principled perspective, right? The whole goal of client success is to reduce time to value as close to zero as possible.
Yep.
That 0 point is the onboarding call in a coaching context. And of course, maximizing lifetime value, right?
Yep.
And maximizing lifetime value just means selling them more stuff or selling
Yep.
them the same thing more times, which you've been doing a lot recently, right? So you've been
Yep.
having quite a bit of back end sales, and a lot of those sales have come in just from DM closes too. So could you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that and what that experience has been like?
It's been so cool. Like I like every time that somebody's coming up on the end of their term, I'm kind of thinking to myself, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna miss this person. You know, they were great. And so I'll shoot them. Actually, most of the time, they're shooting me a message, being like,
Right.
"Hey, I think I'm coming up close on my term," and I'm like, "Yeah, you are. Do you want to look into like continuation options?" And they're like, "Yeah," and I'm like, cool, what are you trying to do in the next 6 months? And they're like, oh well, I want to work on this and this. And I'm like, cool, want to do another 6 months? And they're like, yeah. And then I send them a payment link. Like it's great.
Yeah, it's funny about that too because people often ask like how do I know what to sell people on the back end? How do I know when people are ready to convert into a back end sale? And if you have things properly optimized in the beginning, the indicator is they will just straight up ask you.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll say like, "What's next?"
Yeah.
Because and of course that comes with communication too, right? You have clear boundaries, like, "Hey, this program is 6 months." They
Yeah.
know that the program is, they're at month 5. They can sense that. Maybe you communicate that a little bit preemptively, either asynchronously in the course or directly with the client. But either way, like they know the end of the road is coming,
Yeah.
and if they want to continue to receive the value, then they will facilitate that on their own. Now, of course, having an active back-end sales process is important as well to maximize things. But foundationally, the client themselves are the ones who really drive that process. And the
Yeah.
client success manager's job is to facilitate them doing that on their own.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's really interesting. So, um, as far as the work with us on the client success side, Sam used to work for us. Now he has his own offer, which is fantastic. But Sam had a really, really large impact on you in your business. So I want to have a massive shout out to him, first of all, because, of course, part of the team with all the CS training and everything, a lot of the stuff flowed from me through him. But he gets the credit for actually facilitating that. And so, you know, there's a few things to discuss with that specifically. The feeling that you get when you have a client success manager who's just taking care of things is really valuable as a CEO because you can just focus on marketing, sales, or whatever else it is that you need
Yeah.
to do. And you have that now, right? So, what has that been like for you to have a CSM that actually does a good job and has the client success department handled for you?
It's it's like you said, it's just so freeing because then suddenly like my mind doesn't have to worry about that. And it's like there's not even a thought in the back of my mind of like, oh, but like, is he doing a good job? I'm like, no, he's literally killing it. Like every single, and if I'm ever thinking that, I can just message any of the clients, and be like, hey, how are you liking things? And they send me like paragraphs of
Yep.
like, I love it. This is the best thing ever. Like, oh my gosh, like I've had so many people tell me that this is the best investment they've ever made. And so on the days where I'm feeling like, maybe my sales mindset is down or whatever, I just pull up those messages and I'm like, no, what am I talking about? Like, I need to go change more people's lives. Um, and just, it just makes it so much easier from a sales perspective because when I'm signing them up, I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm handing you off to the best in the game. And he's going to guide you through every single step. And he genuinely, deeply cares about you and your success. So having that conviction, I can't even emphasize like how massively important that is, because like, I mean, this is something I learned from Austin, is like sales is service. But it's only service if you know that what you're selling is like really good,
Yep.
right? So that just helps me a lot. And then when I think about my role as a CEO, it's like now I can zoom out and look more big picture and be like, okay, well, if we want to scale, then what a business needs to scale is leads. To be infinitely scalable, we now need leads because we have client success dialed in. So I spent the past 3 months just solving that one problem. And now we're on pace to double or maybe even triple our record month, our biggest record month, because I solved that problem, because I had the time to actually focus on the right problem that the business needed to be solved.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, the client success side of things is the foundation of that for you to be able to
Right.
now actually scale, right? So, what do you think would happen if you decided to scale without doing that first?
Without dialing in
Yeah,
client success side. Oh
if that
man.
foundation wasn't there. So let's say, everything that's
Yeah.
happening now, let's remove your CSM and all the, systematic things that you've
Yeah.
integrated, but
Yeah.
let's increase the amount of clients by 3x.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest, I've seen what happens when that happens, because I've been in the online coaching space for a couple of years now, and I've watched it happen over and over and over. And every single time that it happens, a business is like, it's a flash and bang business, right? It has like a record month. They bring all these people on, they're all excited, and then it sucks. And they don't get the results they want. They get tons of bad mouth, like just bad word of mouth. They get like, and then the sales team or the CEO or whoever is doing that, like their morale's down, because then they're like, well, we suck. Like, I feel morally bad asking people to pay thousands of dollars for this. And so then close rates dip, and like I knew, I was like, I'm never going to do that. I got into this because I want to help people. And like having my product be the best is the most important thing, always. It's like what Hormozy says. He's like, before you get big, get good. Get actually good at what you do. And it's like, sure, it's more of a long-term game. It's more of like delaying the instant gratification of like, yeah, I could triple my ad spend and bring a bunch of people on tomorrow, but at what cost? You know? Like I'd rather just like scale in a way where at every single step I'm in control and it feels sustainable, and I'm excited to show up every day, and I don't feel like I'm just like overwhelmed because I like screwed myself over.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
some evidence of you being actually good, right? Is last we checked in, in the very beginning of things, your community was a little quiet.
Yeah.
But, last time we checked, you were getting an average of 5 to 10 messages a day. So it was super active. I'm sure it still is as well.
Yep.
On top of that, one thing that fitness coaches often struggle with is getting compliance with the check-in forms. You have a near 100% check-in form compliance rate, which is fantastic. Closing back in sales on DMs, which is pretty amazing. They're asking asking you,
Yeah.
and so um, there's a lot of things that are pointing towards one central theme, which your clients also explicitly tell you is that your program is the best program they've ever been in their life, and that you've genuinely changed their life. And so it's really awesome to see that you've set that foundation truly inside of your business, and the scale that you're now experiencing, tripling your business this month is well deserved, and also you clearly earned that as well. Um, so let's shift gears a little bit away from client success and talk about, um, we have Ethan here on the call, right? He's helped a lot with integrating AI into your business and the YouTube Copilot specifically. So let's talk about the Copilot now for just a moment and the impact that that's had on your acquisition process.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know where to start with that. um, I will say, just to give some context, like Ethan, Ethan taught me like how to view AI, which I don't think I had that grasp or that understanding of what AI was capable of until Ethan showed me. And it just kind of like unlocked something in my brain where I was like, whoa, like this is the potential I thought it had. And like this is the potential it actually has. And it's soon going to be like
And it keeps
even
rising.
above that. Right. Like, so I think that was first, just like, I mean, again, I always love to start with like mindset stuff because honestly, a lot of my work revolves around mindset. If you guys can't tell, it's one of my favorite things. But that's what Ethan did for me mentally, was just showed me what was possible. And also something you said, Ethan, that really stuck with me was you said, if you're not using AI and not leveraging it, then you're behind. You're very far behind. Right. And I remember hearing him say that and I was like, I'm not using AI. I'm very far behind. Shoot. I don't want to be very far behind. I got to figure this out. Why would he say that? What's the importance of it? Right? Why is it so important? Um, so so that's kind of the shift in my mindset. And then what it's done for me, I can start with results first because I know people care about results and like what does it actually do. Um, Two different things I've noticed. So number one, I use I use AI, or I use the essentially the Claude Copilot for my YouTube and my Instagram content now. I made a refined version for Instagram as well. And I have my funnel that I use, social funnel. So my, my appointment setters in the DM setting calls, booking calls. And we were experiencing a period of drought where he was doing like 100, we even cranked it up to 150, 200 touch points a day, and absurd amount of follow-ups, like, and we were getting a lot of new followers but nobody was interacting, and we were like what is going on? And so with my content, I started producing value-based content more and more consistently, and value-based content that went a lot deeper. I'm talking like 1.5 to 3 minute long reels, like of just pure value, like just literally teaching what's in my program
Yep.
in a reel. And the feedback we got was insane. Suddenly, every single opening message my appointment setter is sending, everybody's responding with exclamation marks, being like, I love your page. This is so helpful. I've already started implementing what you had in this reel, and I love this one. And like, and these are busy people too. We target traveling professionals who are working 60 to 80 hours a week. So the fact that they're sitting down and watching this 3 minute reel tells me we're doing something right. And then that goes back to the law of reciprocity. I'm giving them away so much. They literally feel indebted to me to want to have a conversation. And then they see how good our stuff is for free. And they're like, I might as well get on a call with this person. And so that was the reels. Not now, let's dial it. Now let's bring in YouTube into the mix. And it's just like every time that I get an application from a YouTube video, I'm like I might as well just like ask for their credit card number now, like 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 it's just so ridiculous. I had this one guy, he just signed up like maybe a week and a half ago, and he, self booked in. My appointment center didn't even need to be involved. And he sent, like, in his application, he sends this gigantic paragraph. And he's like, I have watched all your YouTube videos. I love you. He's like, this is going to sound weird, but I love you so much. I don't even know you yet, but I already like you. And I just, and he's like, this call is going to be weird because I feel like I know you so well, but you don't know anything about me. And then he actually also he watched one of my client success interviews and messaged one of my clients, because my client gave out his contact info, messaged my client. They had like a 20-minute back and forth conversation. This is like one of my all-star clients who like raves about me constantly, right? So the
As you
guy gets
should.
on the call and he's literally like, it was the most fun sales call I've ever had, because he just shows up and I'm like, it feels like I'm just talking to like a long lost friend who I don't really know yet, but who already knows everything there is to know about me. And that that right there is really the power of YouTube. And YouTube is the, like, to me, I just think every single YouTube video I post is depositing into a bank account. Like it's just that's just a long-term bank account. And I'm like, if you think about like a high yield savings account, if you got like a ridiculous amount of interest on it, why would you not be just putting as much money into it as you can every single month? It's the same with YouTube videos. It's like this is like the best long-term strategy, high yield savings account you can have because I'm just growing my brand, I'm growing trust. Like if anybody watches any of those YouTube videos, in my mind, they're fucked. like like you can't not watch one of those and not sign up to work with me. Like it's literally insane. Um and the way that I don't have to think about it too, like having that, literally AI is doing all that work for me, building out the script, using all of the leverage that we've trained it on, exactly how to make belief shifting content, content that actually sells, delivers a ton of value. Like I'm not seeking like a huge amount of views, but I can also drive engagement when I want to, right? Um, so yeah, I think that's I know I went on lots of different tangents there, but that's like that's a
I love
summary of
to
it.
hear it though. I mean, I didn't even know a couple of those points with that. I remember you saying maybe a week or two ago that you made, well, it was like 7 videos in 15 minutes, something like that, scripted it all out. Like that's crazy to me. Like talk
Yeah,
about productivity right there. You just put out more in 15 minutes than people would normally do in a month on
yep,
YouTube.
100%. Yeah, and I'm like, at this point in the game, I've been making videos for 6 years, so I can sit down and bang out a video no problem. But the challenge was I need more scripts. And I need them to be good, right? And I'd actually tried using ChatGPT before to kind of like come up with a script, but again, I didn't know how to train AI. I didn't know how to ask the right questions, and so they'd be giving me these garbage scripts, and I'd be like, "Well, screw this, I can do it better," right? So I never actually leveraged it because I had this limiting belief in my mind of like AI is not actually that good. Um, but the problem was I just wasn't training it properly, and I wasn't asking it the questions in the right way.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, and so from what I heard from everything you said there, though, which is important, is that you've been making videos for a long time. And if someone looked at your Instagram on the outside, they would see you get a ton of engagement. You were getting a lot of followers, a lot of, so many touch points, right? But there's no conversions. And the thing that you fixed with the help of Claude and the Copilot is that the messaging just got better. And
Yep.
so even if you look at your channel, right, like you don't have an enormous amount of content that's up for people to see. I know there's probably a lot of it's unlisted, but like from like, you said 6 years ago, so I'm assuming maybe something in the past you don't go to see now, right? But if you look at it now, you are doing that long-term bank account strategy because you're not blasting content, you're just blasting extremely potent videos,
Yep.
work, and it's just, one or two every month or so, and it's working extremely well for you.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, and I want to touch on the point too that you mentioned at the end there, how this, like the Copilot in particular, optimizes the middle of funnel process. Because typically with a social funnel, the real bottleneck is the appointment setting process for most people. Like once you understand how to generate leads with either follower ads or DM ads, and create good enough content, all that's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
The problem has always been getting people from the DMs to a booked sales call.
Yep.
And a key thing with that too is the right people actually getting onto that sales call.
Mm-hmm.
And by having that content that is specifically designed for high ticket business owners to convert leads into booked calls and leveraging that in that process, that's how you're actually able to truly squeeze as much juice out of the leads that you already have. And so, really simple ways on how to integrate that, right, is with your DM ads, typically they're opting into something, right? So that right in and of itself is more of a higher quality lead because it's inbound. That thing that they're opting into can just be a free training hosted on your YouTube channel. From there, your YouTube channel is essentially acting as its own funnel, essentially. Like as you said, if they just go down the rabbit hole of watching video after video, they convert themselves. And in order to really grease the gears on that in the DM process, if you're using that that strategy, now you actually have something to talk about, as opposed to saying, are you following me for the content or do you want help with your business or whatever it is, right? It's a very tough place to be able to start a conversation that actually converts into money.
Yeah.
And so there's that. And then the other piece that you mentioned at the end there too, which is really, really key, is you can just drive traffic straight from Instagram to YouTube if you wanted to.
Yep.
Very straightforward way of doing that. You basically create an ad, essentially, in the same way that you would create a follower ad. It's essentially a promo for every YouTube video that you make. You post it, you boost it, ManyChat automation, DM the keyword, fat loss to get access to my free training. They DM the keyword, they comment it, whatever it is, sends them straight to YouTube. And also the conversation is started at the same time.
Yep.
And so it's just a way higher leverage way to be able to actually maximize the amount of money that you're making in that type of acquisition system. But the key thing with all of that is having a system that allows you to create that potent content in the most effortless way possible, which of course is the Copilot. So yeah, really glad to see that you've had like a really powerful impact from that in your business, and it's going to continue to scale as the system gets better, your ability to use AI gets better. And I think one really key thing with that too is to understand that AI is just a tool. And if you don't have the skill set to leverage the tool, you're not going to be able to actually maximize the value, which is where the coaching from Ethan has really come into play, quite heavily. But another thing as well is you've just kind of taken this and ran with it, right? So let's talk about the other things that you've done with AI to build leverage in your business. So you mentioned previously in passing that you've built a sales agent to be able to optimize your sales process. So what does that look like specifically?
Yeah, that has been so game changing because at the point that I'm in in sales, it's just like my main challenge was I just needed constant feedback and just to shorten that feedback loop. And so I took all of my favorite sales mentors and took all of the main like trainings that they have, or like their mindset, their ideology, their way of handling objections, their discovery process, whatever it is, fed that all into Claude. And so now I have a version of Claude that functions as all of my top favorite salespeople. And so every call I have, I just upload the transcript into there. And again, I have the right prompt for it, right? Because I've iterated, tried lots of different prompts. So I have the right prompt, tells me exactly what I'm like, asks it exactly what I'm looking for help with. And then it gives me this amazing detailed summary. And so that's just allowed my sales process to skyrocket because now I get feedback on every single call instantaneously. It also helps my mindset because now when I'm in a call in the moment, I'm like, dang, I think I'm kind of messing up. I'm like, whatever. I'll take the transcript, put it into Claude, and next time that won't happen, versus in the past, I'd get really upset with myself, beat myself up, be like, I can't believe I messed that up. Now it's just like, nope, I'm just going to learn from it, improve it, and then keep it pushing. So that's been huge.
Well, I want to double down on the prompting part of that because maybe you both have seen online that there's kind of a ChatGPT like positive feedback crisis going on to where you can't really get any critical feedback at all. So basically the user is always right. And so if you were, for example, just to give your sales process or a transcript to ChatGPT now with no prompting or no guidelines, everything you do is right. You did the call perfectly. You're the best salesman ever, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to touch on that for a second. I'm assuming you probably have actually used ChatGPT a little bit to do that. And did you A, notice that at all? And B, the difference between using Claude with that in particular than ChatGPT?
Yeah, as I've told more and more people that I use Claude, I always get the question of like, do you like it better than ChatGPT? And every single time I'm like 100%. And they're like, why? And for me, it's because Claude functions like a real human being. When I'm messaging ChatGPT, it feels like a robot. I can tell just even when I read through the dialogue in the text, I'm like, this is robotic. And so I think just that difference is huge because with Claude, like Claude will rip into my sales calls and I want it to, because that's how I'm going to get better. Right. And if it rips in too hard, maybe I can be like, thanks for the feedback. Can you tell me what I did well too? Like, can you hype me up a little bit? Right. Like, and it'll do that too. Right. If I need it. But like, I want I want feedback that really like rips in and breaks things down and gives me, here's what you could have done better. Here's where you went wrong. Here's why this was wrong according to this framework that you trained me to operate on. Like, that's what I need. That's truly good feedback. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton of experience with chat GPT because like I said, I wrote it off very quickly. Um, but yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
Nice. I'm curious to hear, Zach, from your perspective at this point. Out of all the things that you've learned uh, from us over the past year and a half, what do you think is the most useful thing that you've taken away into every single interaction that you have in your business?
Hmm. It's a big question. Learned a lot from you guys. I would say, honestly, it's that question of how do I deliver the maximum amount of value with the least amount of my time, effort, and energy? I literally ask myself that question every single day. And my onboarding is an example of that. The launch call is an example of that. The client, just in general, how we handle client success is an example of that. The leveraging AI and Claude is an example of that. It all ties back to that one thought process.
That's great. And like for me, that's gratifying to hear because I think the sometimes it can be a struggle as a coach to deliver. It's this whole attitude of like teaching a man to fish versus giving them fish.
Yeah.
And you've clearly developed a large amount of skills over the past year and a half. And for me, that's the highest impact thing that you can do because you've just figured stuff out on your own now at this point. And if there's like anything that you get stuck on, then you ask for help, and that's fine. Um, but really, like the transformation is who you've become in the process. And of course, you've made that very easy with who you are as a person, so that's been fantastic as well. Which also just kind of goes back into the whole principle of only working with your highest value clients, which is really, really key for client success, which I'm sure you've experienced quite a lot in the beginning phases of the business is, less than optimal
Yep.
people to work with, right? Which is no longer the case.
Yep.
And the content has a huge part to play in that. Like you said in the very beginning, the highest value client process is, pivotal in understanding that. So really just did want to congratulate you for who you are as a person, what you've been able to do and deliver to all of your clients. And also, we're in the midst right now of your biggest month ever, and it's going to continue to happen. And I'm just very grateful to have played a small part in helping that. So thank you.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I'm eternally grateful to both of you for, of course, for all the, the tactics that you gave me, but also mainly for the wisdom. Like, how do I actually think this through? How do I operate? What are the character traits and identities that I need to have? And I think the best way I've learned that is just through observation of like the way each of you carry yourselves, the way each of you show up in delivering to clients is I'm like, oh, okay, this is what it looks like. Cool. So I think that's been, I mean, yeah, I'm so grateful we met a year and a half ago, Alex and Ethan, what, like 6 months ago, something like that. So
Yeah, November, I think. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm so grateful I met both of you. I can't wait to see what you guys build with everything that you're working on because it's been so life changing for me. I can't wait for more people to get to experience it.
Oh, we got some stuff cooking right now. We really
Good.
do, and so I'm excited for you to get your hands on that as well,
Good.
which we'll talk about, and hopefully, if you're watching this, you will be experiencing that as well. So,
Yeah. Well,
anyways,
thank you, Zach, as well. Like that meant a lot for me to hear that. So really appreciate that. And again, I just want to double down for a second what Alex said, where there's a handful of clients I've worked with that have really sprinted with what I've taught them, you being one of them. And it's very clear in this call that, like I said, I didn't know a couple of the details here of the results you've gotten just with what, from my perspective, might be like a small thing I taught you, but it wasn't small at all. I mean,
Yeah.
before we started recording, you talked about how you're using Claude for life stuff too, not just business. And so um, that's huge. That's huge. So thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys want to experience similar results to Zach, you know where to go. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.